Just ahead on American Black Journal, we'll take a look at the next steps for the Detroit Future City Strategic Framework. Executive Director Cockrel Jr. is here to talk about the projects and priorities for his team over the next 2 years. Plus, we'll tell you how kids can win scholarships at this year's Michigan State Fair. Stay with us.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. The comprehensive plan known as Detroit Future City has entered the next phase. District meetings are being held throughout the city to let residents know how the plan will impact them, and the Detroit Future City team has identified its priorities for the next 2 years. They'll focus on 5 areas: economic growth, land use, city systems, neighborhoods, and land and building assets. I'm pleased to have Detroit Future City Executive Director Cockrel Jr. here today. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you.
That's a lot over 5 years. Those are 5 different areas, and I can think of 25 different things under each of those subcategories that I think, probably need to be done in the city. So how do you organize that and then deliver so that people believe that, this is working?
Yeah, it is a very good question, because the reality is if you look at the full scope of projects that we currently have some level of involvement in, it's probably about 50 different projects, all of which fall within those particular topic areas that you mentioned. And we would probably require a budget 10 times what we've got and a much larger staff to do all of that all by ourselves. But what you actually see, and what's generally the model in terms of how we operate, is our projects are actually done via partnerships. So we're doing things in some cases in partnerships with regional planning bodies like SEMCOG. To give you one classic example, it's probably very representative of how we operate. One of our projects, which we just announced about 3 weeks or so ago, is the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, which is a blue-green infrastructure project, which is being funded in part by the United States EPA. There's $1 million from the federal government there. But we also have funding from 2 foundations, the Kresge Foundation and the Herb Family Foundation, to finance an urban green infrastructure project on the city's east side. So the role of Detroit Future City in that project, along with SEMCOG and the Water and Sewerage Department and Lawrence Technological University, is to actually coordinate the strategic planning for the foundation portion of those dollars.
Right. And that's really what this is. I mean, this is it's said in the open, it's a strategic framework. That's an important description, because it's not a quote-unquote plan that we have to follow, step after step and make sure that you don't ever deviate from. It's not an imposition of policy on council or the mayor. It is a framework for what the city could look like if we sort of implement best practices, really, right?
No, you're absolutely right, and it really is a very important distinction, because and some people, I think, get a little nervous when they hear it characterized as a plan, because that phrase plan, you're absolutely correct. People tend to think, okay, that means this is what's going to happen, and there's not going to be any deviation from that. By presenting it as a framework, then it essentially becomes a framework and a set of recommendations that can be taken. There will be changes to it. What I anticipate probably, although it is interesting to note that Mayor Duggan has embraced the strategic framework, and we're actually working very closely with the city in connection with trying to bring some of these recommendations to life. But I think the process is ultimately going to play out probably very similar to what happens when a big novel gets adapted to a movie. Rarely does the novel get filmed page for page, word for word. Certain subplots get left out, certain characters maybe don't appear on screen. I think this is going to be similar. I think you're going to see the essence of it captured, but there will be some changes. And a lot of that, I think, will be reflective of continued citizen input.
Right. So what are you hearing at these district meetings from people? Do people know about the plan? Do they seem enthusiastic about it? Are you hearing any of the fear that we thought people would have about this kind of thing?
It's been interesting, because we're still really just kind of getting underway with that. We've only had one of those district meetings, and we're going to be doing another 6. And in fact, actually, the way it's now going to play out, we had to take a little break because of the Easter holiday. But now we're going to be moving into a phase where we'll be doing 6 meetings, 1 a week for the next 6 weeks in each of the remaining 6 city council districts. Based on the feedback that I got at the first one, it was clear that most of the people there were familiar with the plan and they were supportive of the plan.
Yeah.
And I think they wanted to be there just because they wanted to know, okay, so what does this next phase look like and what is the role of us as citizens? Because even though we're moving into the implementation phase, we are really characterizing that as participatory implementation. Civic engagement and community outreach was a critical component of developing the plan.
Right.
And our position is that doesn't end now that the framework has actually been written. We want to continue to hear from people, and that's why we're calling it participatory implementation. There is still some level of fear and concern, and we did get some of those questions at the meeting. I think some of that maybe stems from some early dialogue several years ago, back before the strategic framework had been formally published. And you recall there was some characterization of, okay, is this pitting neighborhoods against each other?
Sure.
Does this pick winners and losers? Our contention is that it's not. We see that the framework is really an opportunity for all neighborhoods to be winners.
Yeah, yeah. I know that you guys have been involved with some stuff already that people can see, but I don't feel like you've gotten a lot of recognition for that. I mean, I think a lot of people still think this is a framework for the future, but it's not happening now. That's not true.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. To give you one example of involvement that we've actually had, and this actually predates me coming aboard as director, but I do know that the leadership that was in place prior to my arrival, our director of projects, Dan Kincaid, and Heidi Alcock, they've actually been on board and have been leading the implementation office really since basically the summer of last year. And one specific example where, I'll give you 2 examples actually, where really positive and impactful work has been done. One is in connection with the city's hardest hit funds. These are federal dollars that the city can now use to do a couple of things. One is target demolitions in certain areas as a way to eliminate blight, and also use these dollars as a way to assist people in preventing mortgage foreclosure. Detroit Future City actually did a lot of the research and analysis associated with helping the city determine how to get the most bang for the buck in terms of where these dollars should be spent and how they should be targeted. Kind of related to that also, because I'm a big believer in the idea that not every empty building in the city needs to come down. And in some cases, maybe there's a more creative way to do it. Future City actually spearheaded and implemented a deconstruction project in the Spring Wells Village area of Southwest Detroit. That project actually completed in January of this year. And now we're in the process of generating a report, because deconstruction actually can be an alternative demolition approach, which can actually be a way to create jobs and also create a market for a lot of this material that maybe instead of going to land use or landfill can actually be reused.
Can be used as something that we all need.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. There was a professor at Wayne State University at the law school who made a presentation, I guess a couple months ago now, that really took issue with the whole premise of Detroit Future City, and if I remember correctly, you sort of called it the death knell for Detroit, or some language like that. I'm curious as to your reaction to his critique.
Some of his critique, and I'm actually pretty familiar with it, although I did not see the presentation. I didn't see it live, but I actually saw a recording of it, and I've read some of his critiques. Essentially, one of his criticisms is that the strategic framework is really not addressing the issue of race. And, you know, that may be valid from the standpoint of saying, yes, race does not figure prominently in the discussion. But I think part of what we recognize is that if Detroit is to have a future, and if we are to move forward, we can't wait for the question that Rodney King asked, can we all get along, to be answered. I mean, that's still an open question.
And it's going to be. I mean, it's been open for 400 years in this country.
But we can't wait for that question to be answered to try to fix what ails the city of Detroit. We need to move forward with a plan that makes sense. The other thing also, one of his other criticisms is that it doesn't really take into account regionalism. And while that may very well be true, you have sort of the same question there. I think if we were to say, well, the Detroit strategic framework should really be a Southeast Michigan strategic framework that's going to encompass and take into account these issues from a regional standpoint, well, then the project would have been a much bigger lift. because then you're talking about not only reaching out to the citizens of Detroit and
But
reaching out to
everybody
its
else.
elected officials. Yeah, you're talking about getting the Wayne County Executive,
Right.
Oakland County Executive, and Macomb County Executive, as well as the leadership and citizens of all the neighboring communities involved in this as well. And I think if that had been done, that process would probably still be going
Yes.
on and would probably go on for a couple of years. I don't think that Detroit can afford to wait. I don't think we can afford to wait for the surrounding counties to say we think this is a good idea before we develop a framework for moving forward. It was intended to focus on solutions and things that Detroit can do without waiting for the rest of the world to come in and
come
say,
and
that's
help
great,
us, or
we'll help you
yeah,
out.
Right, right.
We can't wait for that.
So you spent 4 terms, 16 years on Detroit City Council. Before that, you were a Wayne County Commissioner.
Yes.
That's a long
term and a
time.
half.
That's a long time in elected public life. Now you're doing, this is the policy side of things, I
Right.
guess. Talk to me a little bit about the difference. Do you miss it?
Well, I don't miss the city council.
Yeah, I'm shocked by
I have
that.
not looked back. I have not looked back
Yeah,
once.
that's hard
But
work.
I don't want people to take that the wrong way, though, because I loved my time on city
Yeah,
council.
yeah.
I think I was able to get a lot of good stuff done during my time on council, during my tenure as council president for 4 years, and a little bit of that time also even in the mayor's office.
You were in the mayor's office, right?
Right. So, but I had gotten to a point where it was time to move on and
Yeah.
do something different. I think that happens with a lot of people. You get to a point where you've been doing something for a while, and if it doesn't quite get your motor running in the same way, then you have to step back and evaluate, okay, do I want to continue to do this? In which case, the danger is it just becomes all about the paycheck.
Right.
Or do I maybe want to step out and try to do something different? And I decided I wanted to step out and do something different. And fortunately, the way things played out, I wound up where I am now. And the good thing about this role is I'm able to draw on a lot of my experience.
I
in
would
government.
imagine. That's right.
Right. And I'm also in a situation where I still feel like I'm playing an important role in helping to move the city of Detroit forward.
Yeah.
I'm just not in the spotlight as much anymore.
Well, that's right, and that's probably a good thing, right?
It is a good thing.
Right. All right, well, good luck and good work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Just ahead on American Black Journal, we'll tell you how kids can earn scholarships for their gardening skills. That's next, right after this look at some important moments in Detroit's Black history.
I'm Ken Coleman with a look back at African American life in Detroit. This week in 1984, the Detroit Pistons' Isaiah Thomas scored 16 points in 91 seconds to secure an NBA playoff victory against the New York Knicks at Joe Louis Arena. In 1967, Atlantic Records released Respect, one of Aretha Franklin's greatest hits. And in 1968, the Wish It Would Rain album by The Temptations was released on the Motown Gordy label. These are significant events this week in Detroit's Black history, taken from the book On This Day, African American Life in Detroit.
The Fifth Third Bank Michigan State Fair is hoping to get more kids interested in urban farming. For the second year, the fair is awarding scholarships to children and teens who demonstrate an interest and skills in agriculture. They also must write an essay about their experiences and how urban farming impacts their community. Here to talk more about the scholarship program is the State Fair's new Executive Director, Stephen Masters, along with Urban Scholarship Director Kent Roberts and Tiara Modoc, one of last year's Urban Scholarship winners. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I have to say, I don't think a lot of people know that we still have a state fair here in Michigan, because when I was a kid, the fair was out at the fairgrounds and it was a huge deal every year, and of course we had to suspend it for a while because of budget, but it did come back.
It did. It's just like the story of the rest of Michigan. It's still here, it's still viable, it's been resurrected, and we're reinventing ourselves the same way that the city of Detroit and the same way that the state of Michigan is.
Yeah.
So we're here, we're proud, we're carrying on the tradition, and everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
Lots of exciting, great programs.
And so now, when does the fair run?
It's over Labor Day weekend.
Yes. So still the same time frame that it used to be.
Same time frame, new location, different feel, different look as we reinvent everything. We're holding on to some of the traditions that we've had in the past, like the State Fair Butter Cow and a lot of those agricultural traditions.
Right.
But it's a new look, a new feel, and a new fair for a new state and a new city. So.
Right. And so this idea of including urban agriculture and kids in the fair, that's very much in the tradition of the state fair.
Absolutely. I think sometimes the people really don't understand that the second leading industry in the state of Michigan
It's
is
agriculture, yeah.
and it kind of what binds our urban and rural communities. And so to try to bridge that, I would like to say that, you know, I was part of a committee of folks who tried to resurrect the fair. In our deepest hearts, we would have liked to have gone back to Woodward and
And 8 miles, sure.
but it really isn't. It isn't and wasn't feasible. So luckily we found a really nice home. But this bridge between our rural and urban communities of the soil, the laws of the harvest, they just do not lie.
Right.
And it's a way to bond communities together. And so we have an urban scholarship program and we have a rural scholarship program. And last year was the first year that we were able to implement that. And it's actually truly, from the sponsor's point of view and from a lot of people's point of view, really the highlight of the fair.
Yeah, yeah. So, Tara, tell me about your project. I have to say, I don't know a lot of kids in the city of Detroit who are involved in agriculture projects.
Well, I think it's a good idea for kids to get involved with agriculture because it's a great way to get healthy and things like that. So I've been doing it for about 4 years now, and it's really great. And I love how they had the scholarship with the state fair because I actually didn't know they still had the state fair until I found out about the scholarship.
about the money. That's a great way to learn about it, right? Right. So is this, are you working in your neighborhood on a farm, like a small urban farm?
I do it in my neighborhood, which is at Oakland Avenue Community Garden,
Okay.
which is in the North End.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's in the community in my neighborhood.
Okay, and are you growing, what are you growing?
We grow mostly vegetables.
Okay.
So it's a lot of vegetables. We have fruits sometimes. So there's a lot of variety of things that we have.
Yeah.
So, and we are able to sell them. And,
Okay, so you're actually
Right.
selling what you're growing to.
Right, so people can come and actually buy their produce and things like that. So it's really great.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing for the city. I mean.
Oh, absolutely, and it's a great thing for the fair and the state of Michigan. I mean, how do you celebrate all the diversity and great things with Michigan's agriculture and not talk about the people that are growing it in urban situations,
Sure.
in rural situations? I mean, it's food. It's a common denominator, and it's healthy, it's great, and it's part of our tradition. You know?
Yeah. How does the whole scholarship program work? How do you identify the kids? How do they know
Well,
what to do?
they have to apply.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why we're here too today.
Right. Tell the kids they should apply, right?
Yeah.
And that there is a fair.
And that there is a fair and they should go.
And if they go to our website, they can find all the information about the scholarships there. And yes, there is some writing involved, and they need some letters of recommendation, but it's really pretty straightforward and not that complicated.
Yeah.
And last year, believe it or not, because people didn't know about us, we were out there beating the bushes trying to find
applicants.
Trying to find applicants.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of great initiatives going on in the city of Detroit. A lot of the urban farming initiatives are not connected.
Right, they don't. That's right. I've noticed that a lot of them don't even know about
And
each other.
yet there there is a national effort to emphasize urban farming. Yes, it's great land use, and yes, it's agriculture, but it also is capacity building for neighborhoods and communities and individuals.
Sure.
It's a wonderful vehicle for growing Detroit.
Yeah. You mentioned before the sort of connection between urban and rural through this farming. Are you able to make that connection real for the kids? I mean, do the kids from Detroit or Flint or wherever get to interface with kids from Midland or other places in the state?
We only had really one event this year to do that. We were recognized by the legislature in Lansing, and so both of the winners from the rural and the urban area were able to go together and spend a day together up in Lansing. Daryl was there.
Yeah. So what was that like?
It was really nice, and just to see the Capitol and things like that, it was a really good experience. And just to be able to interact with other kids from different areas was really nice. So the connection was a very good connection, and there's not a huge difference because we're all still growing things and still trying to get people to get healthy lifestyles. So.
Yeah, and we will continue to try to. We've already, in fact, we're even talking this morning before the show of different ways of leveraging the opportunities and to make that bridge even stronger. We certainly really want this to be a true Michigan State Fair, not just in a traditional sense. We just want to grow it. It's kind of a 21st century version.
Right. Talk about how the fair might be different from the fair that I might have remembered as a kid, or the fair that my parents maybe would have remembered a long time ago.
You know, just the geography in the building.
And let's remind people where that building is. Where are you guys?
We're located at the Showplace, the Suburban Collection Showplace in Novi on Grand River and Beck. It's not acres and acres of unused buildings. One of the strengths and one of the weaknesses of the fair was that it was a huge facility.
It's a huge site, yes.
And to maintain that year-round and to find viable uses for it, you know, was a bit of a struggle.
Sure.
I mean, my background is I come from the Upper Peninsula State Fair. Geographically, it's only a 40-acre fairground with 26 different buildings, and it's always a challenge to find year-round uses for that. So just the physical geography and the number of buildings is different, but it's really a fair for the 21st century, 22nd century, depending on how you're looking at things. You know, it's about the animals, it's about the agriculture, it's about the exhibits, it's about the food, the carnival rides, the new partnership with the Shriner Circus that's been part since the inception of the fair.
Sure.
And it's about giving back. It's about programs like our scholarship program, the rural and the urban scholarship program. I mean, we've got great partners with this. The Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau is a partner to help fund the scholarship efforts. The Shriners have stepped up and have been on board. And in discussions, last year we did $20,000, $10,000 on each side, and we're going to be increasing that as our goal this year to $15,000 on each side. So $30,000 directly back to those recipients.
To those recipients, wow.
So, yeah, and with that, we're looking for new partners to come on board with us and say, you know what, we believe in agriculture, whether it's urban or whether it's rural, we want to be part of this in helping our youth's future.
Right.
So if there's anybody out there that is looking to get involved, we're receptive to new partners with that. They can contact us at the Fifth Third Bank Michigan State Fair. We would love to talk to them and bring them on board and give them a part in shaping our youth's future.
Sure.
And Stephen, I'd also like to point out, I was walking through the last year's State Fair, and outside of the Shriner Circus, or the big tent, they had a stroller park where all the parents put their strollers. It was amazing. It would fill up well over this studio just to see. This is truly a family event.
Right.
And I think this is really catered. And to think that everything basically is outside of the Midway.
Right.
And so therefore you're in an air-conditioned building, even seeing the animals and the shows and all the exhibits. This is something in process too, as we evolve and grow. And now with a full-time director, we believe we're really putting in place a framework for growth.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible, Tiara, that you could have animal farms in the city, like the farm that you're working? Could you guys have goats or pigs or something on there?
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
You just have to organize it the right way.
Right.
But
there's certainly space in the city for
there's a lot
like
of space, so
Chickens seem to be the hip thing.
Chickens are very, very hip right now. I know all people in Detroit, and I have friends in Brooklyn, New York, who are raising chickens in their yard. So.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised at the amount of students that are involved in these projects. Totally, Dara, how many students, probably were involved totally in the North End?
Altogether, over these 4 years, it's been a lot. There's been a lot over the past 4
And
years.
is it mostly kids from your school? Is that how you got
just
involved?
in the community,
Okay, yeah.
all together.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and North End is a community with a lot of sort of institutions that are sort of holding it together, even though
Right.
depopulation and things have affected it.
right, and then like we have the Youth Growing Detroit.
Yeah, right.
So then they also can help get involved like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and work with them
All right.
and do
Wow.
like farmers market.
Well, this is exciting. I'll have to take my kids to the
Oh,
the fair.
please.
Well,
This
you
is-
have to come.
I know. I will be there. You know, that was the first place I ever saw some of the animals that you have there. So
You know, and that's the fascinating thing for me, you know,
Yeah.
is the exposure.
the exposure.
Is
yeah.
getting everybody excited about agriculture.
Right. Great. Great to have you guys here.
Well, we're glad that you had us.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org. And as always, you can connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you next time on American Black Journal.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.